Hello, everyone. So today we're going to talk about the yugas. So Ashley, you had a question about the yugas?
Yeah, I wanted to just have a brief, concise, condensed explanation of the yugas.
Okay, so the yugas are cosmic cycles, ones that not only correlate to the the environment on Earth, but also the environment of consciousness, and that has to do with human beings mainly, since we are the sentient species on Earth. But it has to do with the consciousness of plants and animals as well. So most Hindus believe that we are in Kali Yuga, and it's many millions of years long. But as Paramahansa Yogananda and his masters explained, the yugas are actually much shorter. So my recommendation for anybody out there is to basically buy this book or look it up online because you probably get it for free on a PDF. A World in Transition, and this is by the disciples of Paramahansa Yogananda, as remembered by them anyway. So if we're going to talk about the yoga that we're in, we'd go to the present cycle. So for Dwapara Yuga, the present cycle, the Earth has already passed through Kali Yuga, the materialistic age of 1,200 years duration. According to the calculations of my guru, Swami Sri Yukteswar, Yogananda's guru, we are about 240 years into Dwapara Yuga, the second age, which consists of 2,400 years. Now, in its ascendancy, this is the electric age, even though it may yet seem very materialistic. If you think about it, you will see how man has progressed from comprehending only gross matter to understanding and harnessing the energy in matter. In this age, men will make great headway in the electrical or electromagnetic field of science. As Dwapara Yoga progresses, diseases will be treated and healed more and more by rays. Vibratory energy can reach the electronic factors of the atoms, the building blocks of matter, where gross chemicals cannot penetrate. After this war, you will see a great surge of development in electric science. We're talking about World War II from this point of view.
Do you,
Aviation will develop tremendously also. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so this is an ascending age, right?
Yes, we are in an ascending age. And I would say this is the first ascending age after we had that dip where the actual Kali Yuga was kind of at the bottom. So
And would you,
aviation will, go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say, would you say that this has anything to do with quantum mechanics or quantum healing? Do you think that?
Most certainly. This is exactly what he's talking about. Um, we start to understand the diseases that ail us, and we're also understanding how to treat them. So a lot of our ailments don't just have to do with physical diseases necessarily, like that we understand now, but also the diseases of the mind. When it comes to the biochemistry, the physiology of the mind, and how to treat those with our own vibrations. So aviation will develop tremendously. Also, will be much more by air. Planes are still viewed with doubt by many today. Kind of 1930s. Just as trains were once looked upon with fear, but planes are already taking over, and trains have become almost a thing of the past. Gradually, automobiles will become considered as carts. The trouble in this age, and this is the last paragraph I'll read for now, is that there is not enough security because science plays the part of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Man uses science not only to create and do good, but to destroy as well. Therefore, scientific development is not yet safe. The present world war shows us how the technology of science is being used to destroy mankind. Out of the conflict, we will learn how to employ modern scientific devices for human comfort. But unless we develop spiritual forces, we will continue to use scientific knowledge to destroy. People will learn from this war the devastating consequences of the misuse of technology. In the First World War and in earlier times, it was considered chivalrous to fight. But the idea of chivalry has gone. In this war, no one wants to fight. After it is over, there will be so much fear of world devastation that if anybody tries to start a war, the rest of the world will fall upon that nation. I'm telling you things far ahead of my time. I'll go ahead and read one more paragraph because it seems pertinent. Man's destructive potential has grown much greater than his constructive power. There will be no safety in this electric age. Methods of war on a greater and greater scale will continue. So thank God that Dwapara Yuga, the electric age, is only 2,400 years long, basically. So based on my description, do you have any questions about the electric age, Dwapara Yuga?
Um, would you say that polarity consciousness kind of affects the representation of this age? Like, as we move away from polarity consciousness, do you think we will move into a more quantum field and it'll be easier for us to just have pure positivity?
Yes, and at the beginning of this age, we've already started to go beyond, I guess you could say, duality in our understanding, and with the scientific enlightenment, the Renaissance, we started to actually value the wisdom of those who came in the classical period, which they were actually in a descending age for a lot of the classical period. So we're starting to rediscover ourselves, and we are starting to really take hold of knowledge that we've had before and understand it in a modern sense. Um, religion is religion in the sense of polarity, in the sense of this is right, this is wrong, my religion is right, your religion is wrong, was prevalent in Kali Yuga, just before Dwapara Yuga.
So
Also
polarity and
keep
duality are kind of similar, right?
Yeah, because when you think of polarity, Christians and Muslims battle, and Jews battle, and a lot of Hindus is battled as well, based on my idea is right, your idea is wrong. And even in World War II, this is actually before World War II, well, at the beginning anyway, um, Buddhism was the main religion in Japan, but they actually started to believe that Dharma and the Bodhisattvas were like generals to them, and the Dharma was progressed by basically cutting down all the weeds in the human field. But that's a whole nother video that I'm actually going to do at a later date, because Zen Buddhism in Japan during World War II was astonishingly opposite to what Buddhism really is and how we understand it nowadays, because it was used to justify things. But do you have another question before I kind of get into the other age?
Okay. Well, actually, I started wanting to go into the Zen Buddhism during World War II topic, but we'll leave that for a different video at
It's
some
a, it's a
point.
long video. Like yeah, it's a very long video. There's an entire book that I'm actually reading on it, and it's called Zen at War, and it is by, I actually have it right here. It is by what is the author here? Yeah, Brian Victoria. It's called Zen at War. This will tell you all you need to know about Zen Buddhism in Japan during World War II.
And
And
that's a weird concept anyway, because you're taking something that in its pure form is so beneficial to humanity, and then you're applying it to something negative, which in and of itself is kind of a polarized
yeah, because
duality.
it was this imperialistic idea that we know it's best for the rest of the world, and we're just trying to bring them to our understanding of Dharma. We're just trying to send our soldiers out, and they can be like monks, they can be like priests, and they're fighting, and they can sacrifice themselves like monks do, like priests do,
Yeah.
for Dharma, and then basically will advance the whole Buddhist cause.
Yeah.
In the understanding of Japan at that time, this has nothing to do with true Buddhism or our modern conception of it, but that's a very interesting topic. But yeah, I guess we'll go into Tetra Yoga briefly, which is the next yoga that we're actually going to go into. I can't remember the exact date we'll actually start this yoga, but we're ascending to it.
So this would
So
be like with Age of Aquarius or anything, like this next one? Are we like, would Age of Aquarius be more with the current yuga, or would it be the next yuga?
my understanding of Western astrology is extremely limited.
Okay.
I have no idea um, based on that statement,
Maybe
but
I can look it up and then we can put it in the description underneath, because maybe
yeah, I
there's a
mean, if you
correlation.
want to describe the age of Aquarius, I'm completely okay with that. If you want to go ahead and describe it.
Okay. Well, the Age of Aquarius, it works really similar to the yugas. Like they're like, it's a cyclical cycle. Well, I don't know if that's redundant, but so like the Age of Aquarius, every like few thousand years we move from one sign to the next. So it's a lot like yuga. So usually they correlate. The Eastern and the Western usually correlate. So that's why I was
Yeah,
asking that.
Eastern astrology is so much more complicated than Western, and I'm not even well versed in Western. But that does make sense. I will say, just from my base knowledge. But yeah, let's just briefly describe the Tetra Yuga, which is the next yuga, the next cycle to come. Next, we will come to Tetra Yuga, the third era or age of 3,600 years duration. That is the mental age, when most people will use mind power. The power of the mind will be much more highly developed than it is now. To a great extent, everything will be accomplished by that power. There will be an increase of wisdom, and therefore more safety in that age, people will make a stronger effort to use peaceful means for settling their problems. There will be less use of electricity and growing use of the power of the mind. This is not to say that everyone will be able to know others' minds, but just as there are powerful radios that can tune in even weak stations, and weak stations can pick up only strong stations, so some people will have stronger mental powers and others in the age of the mind than others in the age of the mind. In that mental age, by the power of the mind, we will be able to know our fellow beings better, so that it will be difficult for anyone to be wicked. Um, there will be very little hypocrisy because people are hypocritical only when they think others do not know their real feelings. As a result of the greater understanding, humanity will learn to live more peacefully with one another. Mind power will be used for healing and as food for the body. So we're also looking at a lesser reliance on food, which is amazing. And I'll read a little bit more of this. I don't want to like read the whole part on
I have
Tantra Yoga,
a
but
couple to say about that too when you're done reading.
I mean, you can go ahead and chime in on this part.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say actually with ascension through the different densities of consciousness, which a lot of people are really into that right now, like the fifth, fourth and fifth density, fourth and fifth dimension, sixth dimension. Like they say that we will rely less on the physical and we'll move more into the mental also. So I was just thinking about that because food, for example, they say we need less food as we go up into a higher density
Indeed,
consciousness.
indeed. And actually, the food that we have nowadays has less nutrients than the food we've had in the past, which
Exactly.
which is
And
is unfortunate, but at the same time, we're also going to rely on it less in the near future. So there is interesting developments to come.
and maybe like another thing for people to think about is like maybe the fact that we've dissociated so much with like our relationship with food that has helped us to learn to reconnect at an even deeper level. Like science has proven that when we grow our own organic garden, that food has more nutrient density, that it's a lot healthier for us. So, and that's the power of the mind yet again. And when you expose like food and plants to like really negative music, it won't like thrive as much. So,
Every curse is a blessing in disguise, as one man once said. But yeah, when it comes to the rest of Tetra Yuga, let me get back to the page that I was on. Actually, you know what? That was the uh, that was the end of that one. But I can actually read a little bit from the Yuga that comes after, even though we're kind of getting into uncharted territory as far as what people can understand. But we'll go ahead and just read a paragraph from Satya Yuga, which is after Tetra Yuga, which Tetra Yuga we're not even to yet. After the third age will come Satya Yuga, or the age of truth, when the mind of man will be able to comprehend all mysteries of creation and to live in communion with God. People of this age will find no barrier between the material world and the astral heaven. They will be able to enter the astral world and commune with those souls who have gone on to that sphere. The ascending Satya Yuga will last for 4,800 years. Many fully evolved souls will find liberation in that yuga, more than in any of the ages. But even the end of Satya Yuga will not signal the end of the world. The cycle will continue, descending and reascending through all four ages again and again. Intermittently, cataclysms will occur, in which the world will die and then begin anew in its continuous cycle. The earth was created to bring souls to their divine destiny. It is carrying a heavy burden. Until all our work is done, until our souls evolve back to God, this earth will never totally dissolve. It is only when God no longer needs it for the evolution of souls that the world will be no more. Then will come the real end of the world. So don't be afraid that our earth will tumble into the oven of the sun, which is so hot that all things would melt and vaporize in just a few seconds. The ultimate end of the world is far off. It has a lot of work to do yet. So that is my full explanation of the yogas. Based on what you just heard, do you have any other questions or comments?
well, the main comment that I was going to make is like lately everybody is really into this whole density and dimensions, like the consciousness and like raising our consciousness and everything. And it seems like these overall cycles are kind of emulating that. They're like mimicking that. So we can already tap into those yugas on some level just through our pure consciousness. Everything is pure consciousness if we go to a subatomic level. So everything's pure energy. So kind of cool to know that as a human race, we're going to all evolve. But some of us can even evolve right now and lift ourselves into a higher consciousness level.
Yeah, I mean, like we don't all evolve. Every single one of us don't all evolve as a group. There's always people that are a little bit ahead of the curve or below the curve. So,
Yeah,
I mean, if I'd be so bold, I'd say like people like us are a little bit ahead of the curve because we're more concerned with the metaphysical and dealing with our souls and trying to ascend our souls and not concerned with the daily matters that most people are concerned with. And you don't have to have a lot of money to be concerned with the metaphysical. You can tap into that strain of your consciousness no matter who you are, no matter what you have. So
exactly.
there's hope for every single person on the earth who wants to be a little bit ahead of the curve, or if you want to go with the curve, it'll take just a little bit longer. But it's all about the
Exactly.
focus on becoming one with the grander source.
Exactly. Totally
So
agree.
we're gonna go ahead and end the video there. Thank you very much, Ashley, for being here with me today.
Thank you.
Um, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anybody viewing this, feel free to shoot it down in the comment section below. We will more than gladly address those comments to the best of our abilities. But please, before you do anything, before you even take your first step after you get out of bed every day, remember, try to find yourselves. At least try. Thank you very much, and all of you have a great day.